Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. I just want to take a second and make an announcement. Next week, we have a guest speaker. Okay. I asked one of our counselors, Eric Jarvis, to come and kind of share something special with you. I'll be here with him. I'm going to introduce him and present him to you. Eric is going to speak on understanding the gratitude for our suffering. Okay, so it's kind of a different concept, but it's still connected with our gratitude program. So it's understanding our gratitude for our suffering. And so please join us next week. And that'll conclude our series on gratitude. And then starting in September, I'll be doing the series on relationships. Okay, so I just wanted to make that announcement and kind of encourage you to come and join me and Eric next week. Okay, I also want to just thank everybody for your support, for your love, and especially for your prayers. I want to begin today because our topic is gratitude for relationships. So I picked a reading from the language of letting go from November 7th. Relationships. There's a gift for us in each relationship that comes our way. Sometimes the gift is a behavior we're learning to acquire, detachment, self-esteem, becoming confident enough to set a boundary, owning our power in another way. Some relationships trigger healing in us, healing from issues of the past or an issue we're facing today. Sometimes we find ourselves learning the most important lessons from the people we least expect to help us. Relationships may teach us about loving ourselves or someone else, or maybe we'll learn to let others love us. Sometimes we are uncertain what lesson we're learning, especially while we're in the midst of the process. We can trust that the lesson and the gift are there. We don't have to control this process. We'll understand when it's time, and also trust that the gift is precisely what we need. Today, I'll be grateful for all of my relationships. I love myself to the lesson and the gift from each and every person in my life. I will trust that I, too, am a gift in other people's lives. Okay, so I want to say hello to everybody here too. Hi, guys. Hi, it's kind of neat to have both a live audience and also a live audience via Zoom. So it's getting to be a new adventure in everything that we do. So welcome, guys. I want to begin today by talking a little bit about the gift of relationships, the gratitude of relationships. And I want to mention two things. Relationships really are the gift and they are the concept of life. Throughout our whole entire journey in life, we're involved in all different types of relationships. I think sometimes we just limit relationships either to male and female or female and female or male and male, but really in reality, relationships are a way of life. Because from birth to death, we're probably involved in hundreds of different types of relationships. Each relationship teaches us a lesson. Each one is a gift. And the thing is to have to face them with an attitude of gratitude. We never know in the course of our journey where it's going to lead us. Because I've learned over the course of my life, some relationships I looked at very negatively, I now look at very positively. I've learned a long time ago that sometimes you have to go through something to experience it and then come out on the other side. But it's only through struggle. And relationships are about struggle. They're about learning. They're about growing. And so we talk about this mosaic we're talking about in the gratitude series. If we build this mosaic, it's very similar to the 12 steps in our program. Remember I mentioned back in the beginning, the 12 steps are 12 principles of life. In the 12 steps, they talk about 11 principles for us to work on ourselves. The 12th step says, take these principles or the steps and share them, take them on the road, take them into the journey of life. Exact same thing with the mosaic we're building on gratitude. Because if I truly look at that mosaic with that gratitude of life, I can look at it from a negative perspective and a positive perspective. And that's why today, what I want to do, I want to share with you something I really kind of feel special. And I got to tell you a story about this. Last night, right before I went to bed, I always have this, I have a notepad with a pen on my what do you call it? What do you call it? Not nightstand. Where you wash your face. Sink. Hey, thank you. I got it. I got it. Geesh. Thanks, guys. That was a heck of a senior moment there. Totally amazing. Anyway, I keep it there because sometimes, you get a thought, you get an idea. Even sometimes in the middle of the night, I get a thought and I get an idea. And before I lose it, I love to run in there and write it down so I can look at it the next day. So last night, I was just kind of milling in my mind, saying some prayers and asking God what God wanted me to talk about in relationships today. And as I was praying, an idea came to my mind. And so I ran to the paper, I wrote it down, and believe it or not, I brought it in with me today. So I've got it right here. And the beautiful part about it is sometimes how these things just kind of pop into your mind, they come to you. I use it, my term, I call them God winks. God winks at you and tells you little ideas, little things. That's where a sense of faith and trust come into play. So I'm building the mosaic. We talked about building it around those principles, the principle of life. And so what I did was I looked at the concept of circles. A circle is something that's unending. And so the concept, we're going to use the circle as the symbol of life. It has a beginning, and if you go around, it has an ending. It's a constant process of life. And so with that circle is interconnected in different ways. Now, the enemy to growth, there are two things that literally get us in trouble. And that's so many times where our codependency, where our lack of gratitude or lack of understanding comes into play. The two enemies, we talked about them back in the beginning, are fear and control. If I live in fear and I live in control, then basically I'm not going to have an attitude of gratitude. So basically I can look at those circles from two different perspectives. I can look at life from two different perspectives. I can look at it from a negative perspective and from a positive perspective. And so if I look at it through fear and through control, then my connection to family is going to be one of sometimes anger, resentment, basically non-acceptance, that's for sure. So I see family in a negative way. If I look at it through fear and control, I look at the concept of growth, then growth means I don't want to grow. So I end up being more stuck and stable. I stay in one place all the time. I don't want to move forward. So it's actually like I stymie growth. If I look at it through the concept of being open. So if I live in fear and guilt, I'm definitely not an open person. I'm very shut down, very closed off, and it's got to be my way or the highway. I live in that constant fear and control process. When it comes to experiences, I look at all experiences as kind of a little bit of self-pity. Why is this happening to me? I get caught up with all my little pity pots. All those things come into play as a result of it. So it's almost like I want everything to be perfect, but of course it isn't. Then I get upset again and I get angry again. Look at it through the eyes of recovery. Fear and guilt are the enemies of recovery. Fear and guilt basically means I'm going to avoid growth. I'm going to avoid different things in my life. Also, when it comes to the concept of change, fear and guilt tell you don't change. Stay in your own selfishness. Stay in your own little world. Fear and guilt can totally freeze us and shut us down. If we look at it through the eyes of service, then of course, I'm not going to do service because everybody else is the enemy. And literally, I stay within my own world because I live in fear of everything on the outside. So as a result, then I literally can't handle relationships. So literally, what do? Always look at them with that kind of that cross-eyed concept. What's in it for me? And it's only a matter of time until they screw me up or do something crazy to me. So I'm always living in this negative atmosphere. But if I change that, and I do this through the process of this mosaic we're talking about here, and I live my life with an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of humility, an attitude of acceptance, and an attitude of love. And to me, this is one of the greatest formulas on the face of this earth. If I can look at life through the gratitude, the attitude of gratitude, have a sense of humility, which means I'm learning to grow, I'm learning to see new things in life. Or I can look at it, through the eyes of acceptance. I can accept things, embrace them, learn from them, grow from them. They take a whole new concept in the course of my life. And above all, I can look at life through the energy, through the strength, the power, and the healing aspect of love. So I share this because we look at a mosaic we're talking about here, and we talk about relationships, and relationships are the gifts of life. And yet so many times we have to be able to get to a point to be able to experience that gift. So we look at life in general. Life itself is one of the greatest gifts on the face of this earth. We have all been given the ultimate relationship, the gift of life. We have to learn not to take it for granted. We have to learn to embrace it. We have to learn from it, to grow from it. We have to learn to accept it. And I've learned over the years that sometimes I could look at life in a negative way, I can look at it in a positive way. But if I really develop that attitude of gratitude, then I look at life as such a powerful gift. And every day I appreciate it. When I wake up every morning, I say a prayer of gratitude, grateful for another day. Wow, it's so powerful. It's so beautiful to realize the fact that we've been given this gift for another day on this earth. Yes, the earth out there is dysfunctional. And yes, the world we live in is dysfunctional. And the last time I checked, it'll be dysfunctional probably till the end of time. Okay, so let's stop trying to change it. Let's learn to embrace it, but to embrace it with an attitude of gratitude, to look at and realize the fact, this is the world I live in. And therefore, I have to be able to be open to it, try to learn from it. And that's where the gift of growth comes into place. If I truly have an attitude of gratitude towards my life, then I'm open to grow, I'm open to learn, I'm open to experience new things in my life. I have this energy inside of me. This energy is pretty powerful. It opens up a lot of doors, a lot of different directions. So it comes down to me going through the struggle to come to the other side. One of my favorite stories I love telling, back when I was a priest, one of the places I used to visit a lot was the old Naval Hospital over in Philadelphia. And I met a gentleman there, a gentleman who had been in the Second World War, a gentleman who had lost both of his limbs from the knee down, and also his arms. There were two stumps on either side. And when I met him, he was at that different stage of his life. But I talked to him, and what he said to me, I'll never, ever forget. He said, Vince, when I first experienced this, I was so angry. I was so beat up. Now life has dealt me this terrible blow. I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life. But over time, everything's over time. Remember that. That's one of the hardest things for us to do in recovery, is to have a sense of patience, to have that concept of patience. Those things happen naturally, slowly, gradually. So relationships are part of that concept of growth. And so really, in reality, if I'm going to keep growing, then I have to be able to have an open mind. But openness doesn't come easy. Openness has to be earned and many times struggled for. Because let's face the facts of life. We all got a little bit of a stubborn streak inside of us. My father used to call them capitosa. It means we're all a little bit brickhead. We got this thing up here. I call it granite sometimes. And I got to get something through it. And sometimes it takes a while to get it through it. What I loved about this gentleman was when I met him, they had made a special wheelchair for him, which he could navigate with the stumps. It was interesting. He would go around the hospital all day long, carrying a message of love, energy, peace, and healing to all different patients. And everybody loved him because he had gone over that crossroads. He had moved into a place in his life where he had that attitude of love, the attitude of gratitude, attitude of acceptance. He went around trying to help others. He knew what service was really all about because literally he went through his struggle, he went through his pain and came to an acceptance of himself. And through that acceptance, he was able to look at that experience he went through and learn from it and grow from it. And I've learned over and over again, of course, in my journey. I don't know why. We all know this. Why do we have to do it the hard way first, get calluses on our head, and then finally do it the other way? Why? Because it's called life. You know, the way of life, we can never ever totally explain. But see, it's almost like a long time ago, at our birth, God gave us this thing called free will. And free will means I'm allowed to make my own decisions. But you know what I'm going to do when I die? I got to talk to God. I really do. I'm going to tell him he made a mistake. He should have created us with an off-on switch up here so I could shut the damn thing off and break it. And then basically life will be a lot simpler. But he won't do it. I know he won't. Because he wants us to go through the journey. We have all these gifts, all these energies inside of us. We have to go through the journey of self-discovery, the journey of responsibility, the journey of learning from experiences. It's a big, powerful part of our journey. And if we truly do become open to that, we are given the gift of recovery. What really is recovery? Recovery is actually coming to an awareness, to a discovery of the lessons I can learn from all the experiences I've gone through in the course of my journey in life. That's the key to the whole thing. And as a result, then I've learned from everything I've experienced in the course of my life. You know, I look at my own life, I look at my own journey, and I realize, wow, I never thought my wildest dreams, my wildest imagination, I'd be sitting here today, sharing all these things with all of you. In my wildest dreams, I'd ever think I'd be doing some of the things I'm doing today. But I know today, I've got to maintain that attitude of gratitude. I have to maintain that attitude of humility. And humility means you have to be in constant growth, constant learning, constant experiences. And God sends all these different teachers into our life. I talked to you about that back a few sessions about God winks. God sends all these people into our life, and God sits up there and winks at us and says, here comes another message. Are you ready? And we have to say, okay, I'm ready, bring it on. But see, many of us for years said, I don't want that message. Many of us fought it for years and battled it for years. I look around this room, even on Zoom and here, and I can see how many people have gone through this battle. But that's okay. The battle is part of the growth. It's part of the learning, part of the experience. You know, in my own life, you know, I had to spend 44 years of fighting, battling, and living a world of fear and control. And to me, it was a normal world. And everything on the outside was the enemy. And as a result, then I literally was always scared to death. People will really find out who I really am. The bottom line is I didn't know who I was, but I was afraid they were going to find out that I didn't know who I was. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I have to check and see. You know, I have to find out. You know, what the heck? Carol knows what I'm talking about. Mark knows. You know, all of us know. Each one of us in this room. You know, it all comes down to it, right, Pete? It's all part of the process we have to go through. And so I'm learning over and over again, you know, that whole beautiful gift of life that we have, and to be open to it. But like anybody else, you know, I had to beat myself up, put myself through 2 addictions. I had to put myself through a nervous breakdown, put myself through a lot of aggravation. And as they say in the tent, a lot of agita. and as a result, then I literally had to get to a point where I said, I'm tired. I'm tired. And as a result, then I have to be able to finally say, okay, let me start learning something new. Now, was I scared? Yeah. Was I afraid? Yeah. Because I know for years and years and years, I was scared of that word change. Because to make a decision, to make a change, to do some growing, to do some learning, all these things come together in the mosaic when it comes to relationships. Because the ultimate relationship that we have is with ourselves. And from there, it flows out. So if I truly do work on me, and I truly do take the journey, and I truly do develop that attitude and gratitude, if I truly do that, then the energy inside of me will reach out to others. See, I told you this so many times. We speak to each other by energy, not by words. It's knowing that I love you, I care about you, you're important. The simple little things in life. And so all these teachers, all these people come into our life, even those who maybe have hurt us. I never thought my wildest dreams, my wildest imagination, I'd be saying that somebody who hurt me is one of my teachers. But healing and growth and coming to that point and working through it and facing it. See, I've learned this a long time ago. One of the secrets to life is being able to come to an acceptance of the reality of who I am, to live within the realms of my own self, to be able to know my limitations, what I can do and what I can't do. And that's where recovery and these things come into play. And they tell us, ask for help, ask for guidance, ask for direction. I didn't think you could do that in the past because I figured I knew it all. See, I had this computer up here that knew it all. When I finally found out I didn't know crap, oh boy, then you come to the waking up. Remember the formula I tell you about all the time? And I joke about it today because I can have fun talking about it today. See, it's a lot more fun when you're 80 to talk about this. You can look at it differently. A long time ago, I was 20 years old. Now, I really was 20. Jerry, you got to believe me, I really was 20 at one time. Not a problem, okay? And yeah, what can I say? And Reba knows I was 20 at one time because she knows what it's about. Thanks, Reba. But anyway, one of the things I've learned over the years, when I was 20 years old, guess what? I knew everything. I had it down. I had the world by the tail. And then something happened. I turned 30. When I turned 30, I found out the questions. See how crazy we are as people? We have the answers before we discover the questions. And then I got to 40 and I found out there weren't any answers. See, stop looking for answers. Stop looking for the answer. There is no the answer. There's a beautiful lady here wearing a shirt that says, just do it. Just live within the presence. Just celebrate it. Then I got to 50. What the heck? I didn't care too much anymore. Got to 60, let it all hang out. Got to 70. Wow, now we're going to really have some fun. I got to 80. Oh boy. Wow. That's why I love living in the 55 and over community. You ought to see some of the sights in the morning. They're amazing. Some of the combinations, some of the different types of people. Well, they don't care what they look like, how they're dressed. You go outside in pajamas, you wave to people. What's the difference? Of course, today it's wonderful because you can wear your pajamas anywhere and people think it's a new style. It's totally amazing. And I can laugh at stuff and look at stuff through that healing eyes and see it differently. A good friend of mine came to a nice, beautiful, formal event, and she had these dungarees on, and they were all cut. And I looked at her and I said, I was kind of, I didn't know what I was doing. I said, what happened to your pants? She said, no, these are the styles, Vince. I paid $120 for these pants. And in my stupidity, I said, you got ripped off. I said, I got a pair of jeans home. I'll cut them up and give them to you. You got $120. But see, back then when I was a kid growing up, those jeans were called rags that you polished your car with. But see how things change? But today you got to be open to new things and new directions because today that's a style. Now, do I want a pair of them? No. I have to be able to accept the fact it's part of the journey. See, I can become very judgmental, and I did that for a long period of time. And at the same time, I have to be able to come to acceptance because change is part of the journey. And so I can't go back to 1940, to 1950. I can't go back to I got to live in the reality of today. I don't have to like everything about today, but I can be open to it. You know, we're all going through something right now, a terrible pandemic, a transition in life. We're going through all kinds of different opinions, different concepts, different directions. And the bottom line is, do what is best for you on your journey. Be open to it. Be open to learn from things around you in life. If you have to be a little bit inconvenienced, guess what? You won't die. The world will go on. And you're able to accept things. A lot of things I don't want to accept, but I have to accept because they're part of the reality of living in this world. And as a result, then I have to have more an open mind to it. I got to go back to the mosaic again. If I develop all these traits in my mosaic, in my gift of life, then all of a sudden I look at life through a different set of eyes and growth takes place. Then I learn what I call the two beautiful spiritual words, the most famous spiritual words, acceptance and adjustment. See, I'm learning finally in life that you either adjust to life and move forward, or guess what? You move backwards. There is no standing still. I'm sorry. Hate to tell you this. You can't stand still. You're either moving forward and growing, learning, adjusting to new things and new directions, or you're going backwards and you're back in that fear, that control, and dying. See, I really believe that you die while you're alive. If you live in fear and control, you're dead already. You're emotionally dead, spiritually dead. There's only when you awaken and come to what I call the new resurrection, come to a new direction in your life, that real learning and real growth takes place. And that's where the gift of openness, the gift of growth, the gift of experiences, the gift of learning, the gift of all these beautiful things we've talked about over these past weeks, to develop that mosaic of gratitude, that mosaic of love, that mosaic of life. You know, I get so excited today, you got to put up with me. You know, it's all part of the journey, right, Sandy? You got to put up with me. That's all part of it. You know, and I'm learning over and over again, you know, that I'm enjoying it today. And even though sometimes I get aggravated, I go through changes, and sometimes I wish everybody would go away, but they keep coming back. And after a while, I got to tell them to go away, and they keep coming back. And it's all part of it. Brianna knows what I'm talking about, so it's all part of it, right? Okay, so it's all part of the journey we got to go through. And so as a result, then, we learn from every new experience, every new person, every new concept, every different, and diversity is part of life. You learn from all different experiences. I remember back when I was a priest and I was stationed in an all African-American parish. And right around the corner from us, we had the mosque, you know, and I actually went and asked them to run my youth program for me because they had good discipline. There's no problem at all. You know, but they used to invite me to go to the prayer services. I loved them. Then down the street, we had the AME church, the African Methodist Church. And I used to run their services for them when Jimmy, the pastor, took a vacation. So we had a lot of fun together. We didn't get all bent out in that concept of fear, control. I got to stay in my world. You can stay in your world. You stay in your world. I love different worlds and different people and different concepts and different directions. That's where the real growth of life takes place. One of the best experiences in my life, I used to say mass at the county jail when I was chaplain on Sunday night at 6:30. Now, here's an interesting thing. It's the only place I ever said mass where they told me to make it longer. We used to have 2.5 hour masses. You know why? They got out of their cells. It was like we ended up having rap sessions, what we had. The sermon turned into a rap. We just kind of talked and shared back and forth. But it was great because I had Muslims, I had everybody coming to mass. It was totally amazing. And so you say, can we come? Yeah, you're Catholic for the day. Come on in. Not a problem. And we had a lot of fun. Now I go to a regular church, and if I go 5 minutes over, they want to crucify me. When's he going to get done? When's he going to stop talking? All that kind of crazy stuff. Probably saying that right now, right? But the concept is, that's the fun part of it. So you learn to laugh at yourself. I mean, even your vet's laughing. It's fantastic, Sandy. Sandy said hi, by the way. But it's the beautiful part of everything we do in life. And we're learning over and over again to be connected to each other. And I get excited today because Loretta gets on my case for this, because I love Zoom. I can't help it. I love it. I love all the different things that we do because I'm meeting more people, more connections and everything. I mean, I never would have met Carol Kay. I never would have met Annie. All these great people that are part of my journey today. I can even take a trip to South Philly. There's Lana waiting for me, right, Lana? Not a problem at all. But the concept is I get connected everywhere. I got California here. I got Arizona. I got Hamilton, New Jersey. I got Maryland. Oh, it's great, man. It's like, here we go, around the world. See what happens. I even get a kick out of it because in my home group, a meeting I go to, we have actually somebody from China comes to my home group every week. Isn't that fantastic? I love it. But it's beautiful because you're learning to be open to new things and new directions and get more input from different people in different areas. And you build new relationships, new friendships. That's what a relationship really is all about. I don't want to just isolate my life to one person. I want to be able to open that door up and learn from different people I meet. I look around this room, all the different people I've met in the course of my journey right here. We all got a history. We all go back in a lot of years. And that history is beautiful. And so I still get to meet some of you even on Facebook every morning too. Right? It's great, man. I love it. So we get to connect. That connection is what it's really all about. And so as we worked on this whole series on gratitude, try just to remember, try to move away from fear and control. They're killers, believe me. They're antidotes for death while you're alive. Open the doors up. Have an attitude of gratitude. Be grateful. An attitude of humility. Be open to new things. Be open to growth. Be open to change. Open to new areas in life. Have an attitude of acceptance. Accept exactly where you are today. Be at peace with it. Because once you're able to accept where you are, then you can move forward. That's how growth takes place. If I fight where I am, I'm going to go backwards. And so as a result, then I realize over and over again, through acceptance, I have this energy and this gift inside of me of love. So let me learn to love myself so I can love others. If I truly work on the gift of love inside of me and truly work on the attitude of gratitude, everything else will happen over a course of time. So as my father would say, pacienza wayon. Be patient, my friend. Be patient. Everything will come to you when it's supposed to come to you. Stop fighting, stop battling, and just be open to the journey, okay? So I'm going to say a prayer today just to kind of connect us to this attitude of gratitude. But above all, I want to say a special prayer as part of my prayer today for all the people on the wall here at Starting Point. It's kind of neat to be back in the lecture hall and look around and see all these fantastic people that have been part of our journey here at Starting Point. How beautiful it is. And know that these are memories, but they're all teachable people that are part of our journey over the years. A lot of gratitude for them. I look at those gold plates on the side there of the wall. They're from the original starting point back in 77 into early 80s, and everything in here has a purpose and a meaning. It's so beautiful. That's what life is supposed to be all about. So let us pray. God, we come before you today in prayer. We come before you with an attitude, a beautiful attitude of gratitude, an attitude of love. We come before you with the gift of acceptance. We thank you. Thank you for all those you have sent into our life, those who have gone before us, and those maybe who are not here with us physically, but I know spiritually they're all here in this room with us today. Teach me to be open to learn from all the experiences of life. Teach me just to appreciate each day I have on this earth, to appreciate the little things, gifts of life, to be open to that. Because I realize over and over again, there's so much beauty in life, even though there's sadness too. Help me to look at my sadness and grow from it, to face it, to embrace it, to learn from it. So we pray today that with an attitude of gratitude, an attitude of love, with you at my side, I ask for your help, for your guidance, and your direction every day of my life. And if I do that, I know you will be there, you will guide me, and you will continue the journey of teaching me through all the people I meet in the course of my journey, through all the experiences I go through. They are my scars. They are my beauty, and they are my strength today. I embrace them with you. I embrace them with love. And I am grateful for all you have given me, for all you have taken away from me, and for all that will be. I am grateful now for whatever is. I pray and I ask for this in gratitude, and I pray for it in your name. Amen. And then I'm going to ask all of you, don't mind unmuting. And you guys don't have to unmute. It's okay. And then basically, well, yeah, I got to tell them, but they might think they have to stay muted. I'm going to try to share the weave of the serenity.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.